Welcome back to another episode of NFL News on the Boomer Bust channel. I'm your host, Terry, and today, recapping Super Bowl. I don't know what number this is. I'm not good with Roman numerals. Is it 49, 69, 59? I don't know. Something like that. But the Eagles beat the Kansas City Chiefs and are now the Super Bowl champs. So a number of things to talk about. For me, I would say number one, I was half right when I talked about my thoughts on the Super Bowl in terms of the Eagles getting up on the Chiefs early. As I said, and I wish that maybe I had the money to do this, but I said the best bet that I like out of the whole game is Eagles with a plus at the half. Now, they were plus 1.5 for the game, so I don't know what they were at the half, but one of my bets, I put them at like plus 3.5, plus 4.5, whatever the number is. To me, I felt that was the best bet just because they were going to jump on them early, and that's exactly what happened. However, I thought going into the second half, the Chiefs would adjust and claw their way back slowly, and then be in position for Philly to make a mistake and then the Chiefs to capitalize. And that just never happened. I mean, the Chiefs started to fight back late when it was just not enough time. As I said before, and for people that are new, the game of football is a game of seconds and inches. And not only does that mean first downs and those types of things, but it also means the clock. When I say seconds, like 1 second here or there can make the difference in a play, but in the game, you have a field that's so big and you have a clock that only runs so long. And so at the end of the day, when you get to a point where there's not enough time, there's nothing you can do. And that's what happened to the Chiefs. There just wasn't enough time. And I couldn't give you the exact moment, but I definitely felt at one point in the third quarter, I'm like, there's just not enough time for the Chiefs to come back because the Eagles were just possessing the ball too well. And so, again, credit to the Eagles and everything. And at the end of the day, the reason I say, and a lot of people say, man, you kind of just know what's going to happen, is because you've seen the Chiefs like really either come back or just pull through so many times, and you know that they know how to win. And so even if it doesn't make sense, you still feel like, yeah, they can do it. And that's, again, the credit to Patrick Mahomes and the rest of the team and the reputation that they earned and built over time. And it just goes to show for those people out there that, want to say what they want to say about things being rigged and fixed and all that dumb stuff, which is not going to happen in football. But even if you were somebody that was somewhat reasonable, you could watch the Chiefs make so many big plays and pull out so many games that you like, man, this kind of defies logic. And that's kind of how I felt going into this game, because on paper, like, I wouldn't say everything was in the Eagles' favor, but the trenches were, and that was the biggest thing for me. That was the biggest thing for me about the early lead. That was the biggest thing for me about their chances to win, is that they just were so much better than the Chiefs in the trenches on both sides that I felt that, I wouldn't say I felt it. That's football. I mean, that stuff matters. Like, there's a lot of work, a lot of thought and practice that goes into high level football, but at the end of the day, some of the foundational pieces of football, they are just what they are. You can call it cliche, you call it whatever you want. They are what they are, and the trenches are, that's the biggest thing. I mean, O-line is huge. I would say D-line is even bigger. But by virtue, with the D line being important, makes the O line important. So when you got two units that are big time on both sides, I just, that kind of amounts to the advantage that you expected. And so again, with the Chiefs and Pat Mahomes and everything they've done, it is a matter of, okay, we have to just see it to believe it, and we finally saw it yesterday. And Jalen Hurts is the MVP. Big props to him. And I think there is a good conversation to be had there, not just about Jalen Hurts, but quarterbacks in general, which I won't have right now. Is props to him, root to the good bros, that's frat, all that good stuff. So look, I'm the guy that was talking about Jalen Hurts' potential coming out of the draft, so I have nothing against Jalen Hurts. However, while we want to make this a quarterback discussion, as it always is bigger than that. And so obviously the defensive line and the whole front seven for the Eagles and what they were able to do with the Chiefs really caused a lot of panic for Patrick Mahomes, and he definitely made a ton of mistakes that not, I wouldn't even say like the turnovers, but they couldn't sustain drives. They were punting a lot. And if you look, and I know this only because I made a bet, because I took the under on 6.5 punts. Last Super Bowl, it was 4 punts the whole entire game. And so, and obviously we know that was more of a shootout. So the Chiefs just didn't perform like they did. But that's just one metric to show you kind of what it was. The Chiefs could not sustain drives. And I would argue that even if the Chiefs, let's say the Chiefs never scored a touchdown in the first half, but they got 6 points off 2 drives, resulting in a field goal where they got first downs and stuff, like that would have changed the game completely, because again, it's about possession. And so a lot of people felt the Eagles had to possess the ball, and they did, but everybody kind of thought it'd be Saquon, and it wasn't. And I'll be interested. The All-22 is up. I'm gonna look at it at some point. I'll be interested what the Chiefs did. Obviously, they got good players, but I'll be interested in what they did to quote unquote sustain, or not sustain, but contain Saquon. But I still feel like overall they had pretty good run. They had positive runs, I should say, every time. And so you limit the explosive play, which is, what you want to do, but they still were positive on their runs. And so that still kind of keeps you on track. However, at the end of the day, the pressure and the onus was put on Jalen Hurts, and he delivered. He absolutely delivered, not only being able to take advantage. And to be honest, I mean, this is just the truth. It wasn't a cerebral performance or anything. I think the offensive line gave him plenty of time to make decisions. Had this been a situation where the Chiefs were heating him up at 60%, it would have probably been a different game. I mean, we know the one play where he got pressure immediately in his face, he threw an interception. So if this been a case where the Chiefs were heating him up at like 60%, it probably would have been a different game. But all that being said, just calling it what it is, with the time he had, with the O-line protection, he made good decisions. Whether he had extra time or not, whether it was above average or not, he made those decisions that worked, including really taking off. There was plenty of times where it was man coverage. And again, I'll be honest, I feel like he could have made that decision sooner. I don't think his decision making was super fast, but at the end of the day, given what he was given, he made the right decisions. And so with Saquon not being able to give you that explosive, it was really up to Jalen not only to make big plays, but to sustain drives. Because I don't feel that you could have gave the ball Saquon 3 times in a row and got a first down. So there was plenty of times where Jalen, with his legs or with throwing, he had to make those plays to keep the drive going. And scoring, explosive plays, those are big, absolutely. But even bigger than that are sustained drives, as I mentioned many a times, possessing the ball and his first downs, it's big time throws, it's big time runs, it's understanding man coverage, it's all of that. And and Jalen, rightfully got MVP because of what he did. But the conversation of Jalen and Patrick Mahomes and blah blah blah. Look, I've said many times before, the conversation we have about quarterbacks is very flawed, and people need to qualify the statement because they're always bouncing back and forth between skills and accolades. Like when you say Jalen Hurts won Super Bowl MVP and they won a Super Bowl, like there's nothing you can say. He's on top right now. It's not true. It's really not true. It's a poor evaluation of when you're talking about better quarterbacks. Because if it's 4 right now, then obviously you're saying it's temporary, which means something. And then if you're saying it's simply because he played the best in the Super Bowl, we know it's temporary. And we know how it is. And again, this isn't even real life. This is just sports media and fans talking. In real life, in real life, I think any coach would tell you, any player would tell you, yes, players are better than others, but for the most part, especially in the NFL, it just comes down to the type of team you got, type of coaching, and how they execute. Each skill set can give you different things, and you got the right coaches to have a system that works for that, and you got the right players to execute the system, then it doesn't matter kind of what your skill set is. I wouldn't say it doesn't matter. Obviously, you got to have talent, but whatever your skill set, because Pat Mahomes is not the same QB as Jalen Hurts. None of them are the same as Burrow, not the same as Josh Allen, all those different things. And so for me, I think, again, if you're talking about a true evaluation of talent, you'll never know, because I've said for a long time, the only way to truly do that is to swap players or to put them on the same team and see how they play. So for the sports media and all that conversation, yes, we can say Jalen Hurts is top right now, but you'd be silly to say it's not a product of the rest of the team and what's going on. I don't think, I wouldn't even say last year, because last year the Chiefs had the best defense. I don't think there was a time Pat Mahomes carried the Chiefs. I really don't know that there's a time where any Super Bowl team was just completely carried by the quarterback. And so I just, again, if people want to say winning is the most important, then I would more than likely tell you the quarterback is not going to be somebody that just carries the team. Not on a Super Bowl winning team. So there's that. But they in the three-peat chances and all that. And I think going forward, to wrap this up, to look forward, the big talk right now is going to be the trenches again, like I said. But anybody that knows football knows that's not a new thing. But that's going to be the conversation. How do we build up an offensive line like the Eagles? How do we get a defensive line like the Eagles? The Eagles won. And again, there's going to be a lot of mainstream love for Jalen Hurts, but all the football conversations are going to be like, how do we get a line and make it easier for a Jalen Hurts? How do we get a line that amplifies a great talent like a Saquon, where we can even be pretty good despite Saquon not having a monster game? How do we get a D-line that can expose and overwhelm a bad offensive line? That's going to be, it's a copycat league, and so whoever wins, that's the next thing. But we'll see, because the Eagles will lose their coordinator. I don't think Vic Fangio has a spot to go to. I don't know if he even wants to be a head coach again. So he'll he'll probably stay with the Eagles, but they'll be losing Kellen Moore. And, who's to say? Who's to say? Sirianni, I'll be curious about that conversation. I haven't heard much today. Just because people went out of their way to dog walk him as a coach. And to be honest, and a lot, because there's definitely times where early on people want to take shots because he's calling plays. But when he's not calling plays, then it turns into a whatever's good is Kellen Moore, whatever's bad is Nick Sirianni. And you hate to be in those situations. So it made it feel like y'all was just going after him in general for no reason. And so we'll see what that conversation is, because I mean, there's a few apologies, but I don't even care about apologies. I want people, if you were so sure about Nick Sirianni being bad, you believe in your football knowledge, then tell me what in your football knowledge changes your mind. Yeah, they won. We could talk about a lot. The roster, Howie Roseman, the coordinators, like Jalen Hurts. We could talk about a lot. If you're going to apologize, tell me why you think Nick Sirianni is actually good. I mean, because this results-based business is just not, it's terrible analysis. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, how hard is it for me or you or anybody to go on live TV after the Super Bowl and be like, Nick Sirianni's a good coach because they won a Super Bowl? Duh. I mean, like, what analysis is that? So I'm just curious as how that conversation is going to be. But overall, again, copycat league, people be talking about the fronts, and they'll be talking about getting this talent and how they can get that talent. And we'll see. It takes a lot of development, man. I mean, I think the Chiefs did a great job, because the last time it was like this was against Tampa, and we saw what that was. And after that, they really retooled the O-line. That's when they end up getting Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Thuney, and they really got big time. But because of the tackles, they had to reshuffle things, and it just didn't work out. So it's not just the Eagles, it's everybody. Again, trenches matter. These Eagles, they got Becton, who just not good at guard. Went to a good unit. Not good at tackle. Went to a good unit, went to guard, played a lot better, less space for him to cover. That's what I was saying the whole time, even before he got drafted. But that happened. And then the biggest thing, besides Lane Johnson, who's a high round pick, and some other high round picks, you got Jordan at left tackle. I don't know how to say his last name at the time, but developed from a rugby player. And so at the end of the day, much as it's a game of seconds and inches, in the NFL, it's a game of dollars and cents. When you get a guy like Jordan, even though they paid him, you had those years to develop him and all that, where he was, pennies on the dollar. You had Jurgens, who was sitting in the wings waiting behind Kelsey, where he got to develop. You get Becton, again, a reclamation project for the most part. He got to come in. And then people talking about Jordan Davis a lot. Really, it was Milton Williams. Milton Williams at D tackle, rotating with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. And the Eagles did a lot of moves to have some big draft capital that paid off. So for sure. But what comes with it and winning is young guys performing. Cooper DeJean, Keon Mitchell, we know they really upgraded their secondary with young players, cheap players, where they can pay a AJ Brown, they can pay a Devontae Smith, they can pay a Jalen Hurts, they can go get a Saquon Barkley, they can get a Mekhi Becton, they can do these different things because you got a hard cap. I mean, limited cap space, limited area of the field, limited time on the clock. All those three things is what make up winning football. And so there we go. Last thing I'll say is I just thought the Chiefs' game planning was bad. I mean, for what people want to say about Andy Reid being the best and offensive genius, even though I've been saying he doesn't really call plays with Nagy. I mean, it's just facts. You watch it, you don't call plays. But either way, you can say what you want. It was a lot of praise, so I don't want to hear people trying to say they suck now. But I've been pretty middle of the road the whole time. I don't care who it is. I don't get into this like all end all be all. Like, are they good? Yes. They know what they're doing? Yes. Some of the best? Yes. But that doesn't mean you can't get got. And they got. I thought the offense or the Chiefs' offensive game plan was terrible. I thought the play calling was terrible. I don't usually say those types of things, but, I'm big in football mode right now, and coming into the game, I thought it was pretty evident with the mismatches on the O-line, D-line, but just also with the personnel you got minus Rashee Rice, you don't got guys. I don't know what Hollywood's status is, but besides Xavier Worthy, you don't got guys that's taking off the top, and everybody else is pretty slow. And so for me, I felt like the Rams would have been a much better matchup for what the Eagles do, because they're young, explosive, but not, extraordinarily disciplined, And so a lot of screen game behind them, a lot of quick game. And when I say screen game, I mean to the receivers, some to the running back. Quick game behind them, a lot of bubbles, RPOs. Like, to me, that was the move. And I think about the Rams, who played a better game against the Eagles but lost. That was a much better, like, I was just thinking the whole time I was watching this game, I was like, a team like McVay's system would completely give the Eagles defense some issues, because the Eagles want to play, they want to sit there and play top down. They want you to try to be vertical or in between and play top down, rally to the ball, and just let their guys get upfield and rush you. So the draw plays, the zone plays, again, the RPOs, the quick screens, all that, that was the perfect counter. Like, when you can't beat a team all on the line, especially in pass rush, they're going to get upfield. So let them go upfield and then counter behind that. Whereas the Chiefs, you saw, were playing the opposite. They were playing at the line of scrimmage. They weren't coming upfield a lot. They were really giving a lot of anchor at the line of scrimmage because they were worried about the run game. And what that does is that opens up the pass game because the pass rush isn't as fast. So I just thought the Chiefs' game plan was bad, man. They really should have took some notes from Sean McVay's offense and kind of played that way. So anyway, that's it for me. Go down to the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around. Get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you for listening.